Good morning, beautiful. It is great to see you. It's good to be out here. It's cold, but it's just beautiful. And I want to show you. There is the sky. I mean, you know, what do you say? It's a sky. There's nothing in it except the early morning blue that I love so much. And there it is. And it's a fairly routine, ordinary Monday morning here in Wellington, New Zealand. Good morning, Linda. Good morning, Nora. Let's go look at the flowers. This is the time to be enjoying the flowers. And I love this because you have the ghost plant, right? And then you have all the jonquil foliage and, well, the occasional flower. There are more flowers. And then there's the snow in summer, which is also grey. Morning, Heather. And then there's the magnolia with all its silver flower fluffy buds on. So it's a very grey area of the garden, and I planned it like that, including the century plants in the back. Good morning, Abigail. So it's just rather lovely here at this time of year. All the blue-grey foliage and the white flowers. It's kind of hard to beat. Let's get up close so you can see them. There you go. Focus, please, camera. Sort it out. It gets confused. There we go. Now you can see them clearly. They are beautiful. You are catching the beginning, Abigail. Well done. It can be quite a deal to just be there at the right time. Good morning, Roberta. Look at all these jonquils. Well, I love being with everybody, so it's lovely to be adored and to adore in return, you know. That's the space we create. So here are the old-fashioned jonquils with their long petals. Good morning, Carmelina. Good morning, good morning. And here are the slightly newer fashioned jonquils with their shorter petals. God, the contrast is a bit bright. There you go. You can see these. They're called Tatseta hybrids. Jocelyn, good morning. So it's very pretty here, and you can see the Nigella's grown. Last time we looked, it was half the size. It was, I don't know, 3 or 4 days ago. So everything is sprouting up. That's what happens. And we have the very first, well, first, second and third early chair jonquils. Just getting some focus here. Come on, camera, sort it out. Still don't have focus. Have to fill enough of the screen that it sorts itself out. Excuse me. Trying to get it organised here. It will eventually. There you go. Now you can see the sharpness. Beautiful colour. It's obviously related to the Tatseta I just showed you, but it's a double version. So there we go. It's Jonquil City, Jonquil Heaven. And there's the soldiers and sailors, and this is the native Cochilla ground cover, which I enjoy so much. So, you know, it's all about foliage, and the flowers are coming. Good morning, Diana. We're just enjoying the garden here. Oh look, I forgot to show you. See, there's the white and cream Tatseta jonquils, but we've also got the yellow ones coming out. They're just in odd patches. They're just like bright spots in the garden. What else can I show you? And there's the sort of view across. You can see that the wattle is there and the daisy's there. Here is the circle garden. Let me just get a little bit closer so you can see it. It's a bit distant on the phone. Good morning, Laurie. And there it is. It really is a circle of narcissus, and there's a big bunch of nerines in the middle. So yeah, it is lovely here. I've been here for a long time, and I've gardened for a long time, and it shows. The garden is more beautiful than the house because the garden I have been able to do with very little financial input, just work, and now it's the house's turn, and slowly the financial input is happening, which is an indication of how much I... So, what I want to talk about today is this whole thing of, you know, we talked last week about the huge aha that explodes your head and changes your life. We talked about becoming a new person, all kinds of good things that change, that we create. And then there are the people who just don't get it. And Amy, who I know will come on sooner or later, see the replay, see it live, doesn't matter because you're always here in perfect time. Amy asked a really good question last Friday. Can you see me thinking, how long ago was it? What day was it? Honestly, my husband looked at me this morning and said, was it really a week ago that I changed the solution? Because he changes the solution every week. I was like, yeah, it was. He said, well, does it seem like it was 2 weeks ago or 3 days? He said, it was like it was yesterday. Time is just doing weird things in my awareness and his. It's just funny, really. So the question was, I'm making these changes in myself. I'm working really determinedly at it. Good morning, Jen. And I know this feeling when you're just so much in the process of change and you've really got a sense of clarity about who you want to be, and you're making the changes and you're aware that you're not really that solid in what you're doing, but you know how it feels, you know what you want to maintain, and you just have this desire to withdraw from the world. Hi, Helen. Morning, beautiful. You just go the hell away, everybody. I can't deal with you right now. I'm just working on who I'm choosing to be, and I don't need you to apply your old expectations of who you think I am. I don't need you to not be getting me. I don't need you to be pouring buckets of cold water on what I'm creating and the way I'm doing it, because it's different to how you think, and the question Amy asked me was, look, I don't want to engage with these people. I don't want to have to defend myself. I don't even want to think about how to confront them. I want to know how to think about them. I want to know how to hold that whole situation inside myself, which is a really, really good question, and it's not the usual one. It's a deeper level of awareness that this is about how you hold that situation in yourself when other people don't get you. Laura, good morning, yahoo! and what do you do, and how do you think about it? Really powerful question. How do I think about this? How do I feel about this? In other words, what's the state of being that I hold around people who don't get me? And what do I do, What do I do? But I don't want to argue. I don't want to engage with them. I don't want to have to convince them about what I'm choosing. I just want to know how to think about it. And I thought about this and I thought, well, really, what's this about? And there is a piece that I want to mention, because this happens to me too. And it happened to me yesterday, actually. The circumstances don't matter. But you have an interaction with somebody and you're actually okay with how you responded to them. And it was a response, it was conscious and it was thoughtful. But there was something about it that didn't feel good. And you find that afterwards you're kind of running it over and over in your head and you're thinking, why am I still thinking about this? It was just a thing. I'm proud of myself. I did the right thing. I held the right space. Why am I still running this circumstance in my head? And in particular, why am I still justifying to myself why I made those choices and why I said that thing? It's like, why is it still alive in me? Why am I still, here I am asking why. But I had to do that yesterday. What is this thing? It's taking up real estate in my head. It doesn't matter at all. Complete stranger. Just had this short interaction. And, it was like... And, of course, it was showing me something about myself. But you have this thing with people who don't get you, where you know what you're choosing and you do that and you inhabit to the best of your ability, and then you go away and you find that it's just circling inside your head. And so I kind of wanted to say that this is what happens, that we end up having these circular conversations justifying ourselves to ourselves long after the person who doesn't get us goes away. And what's that about, right? And it is all, that part I think is always about the fact that some part of me is not as secure yet in what I've chosen or who I've chosen to be, or what I've said yes or no to, as perhaps I think I am, or it's just something new coming up for me, all of that stuff. Yeah, Diana, I get it, I really do. And it's always showing me something that's not comfortable in me, right? It's just not easy, and it's showing me that I'm still growing into who I'm choosing to be. I can never wish it away, Abigail. When something like that is turning, if I'm going in a ring around the mulberry bush, I know there's something in me that I actually need to change. You're quite right. Can't wish it away. I have to really get still or get close enough to myself, pay attention to think, hang on a minute, there's something sort of pinging or flashing at me, and it wasn't about their approval, because they disapproved of me, and I didn't care that they disapproved of me at all. I really didn't care. What it actually was for me was looking at that person and thinking, man, for them to behave like that, they must be quite sad. For them to be that mean, they must have experienced meanness, and I'm kind of sad for their sorrow and their trauma, and, I'm sad for them being that person, I'm sad for the world being like that. And I thought, there's no value in me walking around through my day feeling that sorrow. Okay? I need to fix this, really I do. No, I fucking don't. So anyway, I just had to change my focus. I just had to change my focus and choose what I was aware of, choose what I was paying attention to. And so, when you're dealing with people who don't get you, good morning, Sean! Seeing it is useful, Abigail. Getting stuck on seeing it isn't. That was the trick. That was the thing I had to do yesterday, was to realise that I was getting stuck and I needed to shift my focus. I needed to change my state. And eventually I did that. It was interesting. It was only a small thing, but it brought up a thing in me. So it was nothing about that person. It was just for me. Yes, it was a nugget for me to find, totally. So now, let me not get distracted. The main topic I want to talk about today is, what do you do in your head, right? Because we're really talking about stuff that happens in your head and in your heart and in your body about people who don't get you. And I think the first thing I want to say is that it's absolutely fine to say, I'm in the chrysalis. I'm going to do what I can, creatively and lovingly and kindly, to just stay the hell away from people that don't get me as much as I can. Bernadette, good morning! I think it's fine to do that, because I certainly do. I'm quite aware that I live in my house. I go out to the market. I take my husband to appointments, because at the moment he can't drive because he hurt his foot. It's getting better. I go places that I need to go. Apart from that, apart from connecting with you guys, apart from connecting with people that I want to connect with, I don't connect with anybody. And, I look at myself, I've been doing this for many years now, and I understand that I have been in the chrysalis all this time. I really have, and I still am. The pace of change inside me, and what is birthing inside me, and what is coming to the surface in me, and what I'm actually here to do, and what I'm beginning to create, has taken all that time. And there's a part of me that's kind of, what's wrong with me? I'm not out in the world doing the thing, Screw it. This is what I've had to do to become who I am and who I'm becoming. And I've had to make a very conscious choice about that, to be different, to not be normal. Because I'm certainly not, in many ways. And it separates me from people, and I'm aware of that. There's lots of people that I really can't have a decent conversation with. Message me, Sean, by all means. Because we've got absolutely nothing to connect with. I only connect with people who are interested in what I'm interested in. Which is like, oh my God, isn't that terribly selfish? I have unplugged. I have totally unplugged. And I have to keep on not apologising for that. It's great that you see it. That's fabulous, because you can't change it until you see it. Can't change it until you see it. It's fantastic that you see it. It's painful that you see it, but then you have a choice. So, being willing to give yourself permission to walk away from difficult people as much as you can, being a hermit when the most of the world doesn't get you, and determinedly saying no, and realising that the more you say no, because this is a bit about yes and no as well, the more you say no, the more the people that you actually want in your life are going to find you. Yeah, absolutely. That actually was, I think, what was happening yesterday, Helen, and it's fine, People totally get threatened by something that makes them feel their own lack. Really, or their own smallness. They see largeness, and Anyway, you're totally right, Helen. I think we choose our destiny, Abigail. We do, because we all have limitless possibilities in life, and some of us just reach for more than what we started with, and some of us don't, and that's okay. Birds of a feather flock together. And sometimes the birds of a feather are not very common. And it's okay to accept that. But you've got to realise that it can feel isolating. And you kind of have to be committed to who you're choosing to be if it ends up being like that. Because you're going to find the people that really connect with you. It might take some time. It's like, how dedicated am I to who I'm choosing to be? How dedicated am I to who I'm choosing to be? Am I willing to walk away from my old life for long enough that I forget who I used to be and begin to create who I'm becoming instead? It's a big choice. Sometimes people have to leave bits of their family behind because their family just doesn't get them. And, you go back to your family and they expect you to be who you've always been. And you're not. And it's uncomfortable because they don't know what to do with who you've become. And you don't want to be what they're expecting. And how do you hold that, Yeah. Outside opinions, noise, totally. I knew this would be such a good conversation. Because, there are all these expectations and ideas about who we should be and what we should do and where we should spend our time and our attention and our energy. Especially time, attention, energy. And it takes quite a bit of courage to say, stuff those. Bugger them. No! I get to decide what I spend my time on, where I put my attention, and therefore where my energy goes. Screw societal expectations. That does not mean you become uncaring or selfish or irresponsible. Oh my God, the irresponsible thing. Responsible people know what's going on in the world. They keep up with the news. Really? Is it responsible to expose myself to that dark, dense, heavy, incoherent message every day? Not if I want to show up and, have something useful to share with you. What's responsible? Yeah, well, you've grown, Linda, and your family hasn't. And that's the thing. It's all about what's your vibrational match. And the more you choose yourself, if you come from a place that and people and surroundings where everybody's completely incoherent, doesn't know who they are, is always running around out of fear or anger or sorrow, the survival emotions, and you're not doing that, they won't know what to do with you. So we just have to cut people out. You have to actually let them go. And you got to realise that's actually the most loving thing that you can do. Not just for yourself, but for them. If you get on and do your work, you become light. You become more who you are. They see you getting free. They watch you having a life that they've never had. And some of them are going to be jealous and try to pick you apart. And so you just leave those ones behind. And some of them might just walk up to you and say, hey, you're different. Did you get your hair done? Did you shave off your moustache? Did you lose some weight? Did you change your clothes? Like, no, I didn't do anything. No. Well, you're different. What's going on, Oh, I just changed who I am. And they might start asking you about, what did you do? And they do fall away. You're quite right, Linda. Sometimes we have to make a very conscious decision to walk away from somebody. And quite often, when you get really clear about who you're going to be and what you will accept and what you won't, they just quietly go away. Because they don't want to hang out with somebody who's not going to sympathise with them, like you have for the last 20 years, about how awful their life is. Marcy's eating carbs again, and my back hurts, and yes, mine does too. It's like, it's what Joe says. I love this. I can suffer better than you can. Don't people do that with their friends? And when you start thinking about your future and what you want in life, don't you just have this moment when you look at that and you think, shit, have I been meeting my group of friends and having a cup of coffee with them for the last 10 years, and all we do is bitch and moan and gossip? Oh my God. Who do I want to be? I'm so glad, Abigail. That's what I'm here for. It's what I do. It's what I do well. Yeah, bye-bye history. It's just, it's so powerful you got to realize when you start becoming the creator in your life, when you start paying attention, when you start choosing who you're going to be, the people who don't do that and don't get it are going to go away. They don't get it. And and you can, quite right, Jan, I'm not going to read your whole comment because I'll lose my thought. It's quite true that you can, if it suits you, choose to present the part of yourself to people that they can deal with, if that works for you. If it's okay for you. If you think, well, my grandchildren don't get me, but I want to be a super nan and I can do that. And, we have a nice interaction and I want to see my grandkids, for example. Well, fine. But if spending time, and this is a tough one, right? If spending time with your grandchildren, and I'm just using that as an example, someone that you really feel you want to be with, but if that is seriously destructive for you because of what maybe the parents are doing and how they treat you, you really have to think very deeply about whether that's acceptable. Because what example are you giving to the child if you show up and say, oh, darling, I love you and I want to be with you, and there's many ways to hold this. What example are you giving to the child if you show up and be there with the child because you love them, but you're allowing yourself to have the shit kicked out of you? You're showing the child that that's okay, and also that's love. It's love to show up and be there for someone and have the shit kicked out of you because you're doing it. It's like, that's sending a really confusing message to a child. You really have to think about that because they don't have the analytical skills to look at you and say, they're here because they love me and they're doing that thing because they love me. No, that's love. You get the shit kicked out of you so you can love someone. No analytical skills before age 7, period. Can't work that out. They just get the whole package. So you really have to decide. And the funny thing is when you say, no, I'm not going to get the shit kicked out of me in order to spend time with someone that I care about, and you really unplug yourself from that and let go of it and, release the addiction to all of that pain and, all of that stuff, what's really interesting is that down the track, what you want, which is the ability to spend that time that person that you care about without getting the shit kicked out of you, somehow manifests in a way that you never expected. Exactly. It's not okay to submit yourself to suffering to garner one kernel of joy. It just isn't. Christine, good morning. So when you stop doing that, when you stop saying that it's okay for any of that to happen, you unplug yourself from all those expectations. Say, no, this is not who I am anymore. But you hold an intention and desire, universe, I want to be with my loved ones in a way that doesn't hurt me, that's good for me, where I'm being the example of truth that I want them to experience. That's going to come if you insist that your life is like that. So really, this is really a message about yes and no. And of course, I'm out of time. So I'm sure we'll pick this up again tomorrow. I gotta go. Big love. Thank you so much for participating. I love your comments. I appreciate the fact that this is a two-way conversation, not a lecture. Lovely to see you. Big hugs. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.